CalazCon is a show about war, obsession, colonialist occupation, and the many forms of violence those inflict. See the description for content warnings specific to this episode. Good afternoon, Captain Hetsford.
Pleasure to be here, ma'am.
How would you describe your relationship with Private Branch?
He's a good kid. Prime material. Needs a little bit of molding, a bit of a work in progress, but if he can get over that recklessness of his, until a couple days ago, I guess I should say, he would have been a fine soldier.
That's excellent to hear. How do you feel about Operation Cromwell and its objectives?
Well, seems like it's going all right so far. I mean, progress, might be a little bit slow, but at least on our end, zero accountability is getting it done, ma'am. We've got Tempestia on the ropes, I think. And one or two more pushes. At the very least, I think our part will be done. And that'll be one big thorn out of the way of the operation, and we can finally get on with taking this city.
I see. Speaking of Tempestia, you've been in contact with her on multiple occasions. How would you describe her?
Honestly, I'm coming a bit around to what Red's way of thinking is. That woman is terrifying, noble, maybe. Certainly difficult to beat on the field of battle. Also not entirely sure she's human, ma'am.
Interesting. Now tell me about the Hestial Storm Drain Complex.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to CalazCon and the continued adventures of pizza. This episode is sponsored by our squad sponsor, John Kings IV. In addition, if you've been enjoying CalazCon and would like to support it yourself, head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/CalazCon. Today, I am joined by Mark.
Hi there, I'm Mark. I use he, them pronouns. You can find me everywhere, or major.com, majcher.com. I will be playing Topo, our scout, and Topo is doing just fine. Thank you very
much. That's good to hear. I'm also joined by Cole.
Hi there, I'm Cole, aka Ice Cold Brew, and my pronouns are he, him, they, them, and I am playing our lovable, reckless, silly little rookie, Dorian Branch. Also goes by he, they.
People can also say where to find them as a reminder. If anybody has any plugs, feel free to plug. I didn't do my normal Matthew Guzz on Twitter, but I feel like that is a ship that is soon setting sail and will not return. So, you know how it is.
Yeah.
You can get in on the ground floor as the clock ticks to midnight.
And that was the voice of our own captain, Alex.
Hello, I'm Alex. I'm going to be playing Earthan Huq. You can still find me mostly not saying anything on Twitter at First5Review, also on YouTube at First5.
Perfect. And last but not least, we've got Jake.
Hey, everybody. My name's Jake. You can find me on co-host, which I've found to be a good alternative to Twitter, now X, I believe, at J Pritchard. And I will be playing Azara, our sad boy infiltrator.
Sad boy infiltrator is right. So, the last time you had a wild downtime, joined by your legislator, Red, Philodendron, and you picked up a cohort representing Split Second. So you hired Split Second as a specialist. And you also just got vehicle weapons. So you've improved vehicle weapon quality. Everything now counts as having the fine tag on it, and it stacks with other, which is pretty darn good. Well, all the weapons. So you all get to argue with me about what counts as a weapon, which is fun. So I think that we return to our plucky crew, once again in the meeting room, but Antonia already present. And she starts off, once everybody's collected, and essentially just says, once again, nicely done last time. Your performance earned us a bit of breathing room, but the fight continues. Tempestia and her 2 remaining officers/aides have been attacking supply shipments into Hestial, both ours and CalazCon's. Our friend with the early birds wants to pay us to put a stop to that. This might sound like last time so far, but thanks to the intel you collected pursuing Needs Must, we have eyes on the Storm Drain complex. We've seen evidence of all 3 of their AVs leaving the complex prior to their attacks and re-entering afterwards. It's clear their FOB is down there, somewhere. This is perhaps our best shot at finding and taking out Tempestia's FOB, while she and the rest of her heavy hitters are distracted by our supply shipments. Do this, and it'll be a major blow. With nowhere to retreat to, we could create the opportunity for a final solution. Don't waste this chance. I think that the briefing has a little bit more detail that I'll just sort of go through out of character, right? So if you'll join me on our funny little Roll20 map, for those of you who are listening instead of watching, this is just the CalazCon typical map that we've looked at several times now. But the DFS siege line, or at least what used to be it, is sort of on the northwest corner of this map. And that is indicative of where the supplies tend to be coming from. So they tend to be coming from northwest, either north or west of the city. You all also have intel that there's a terminal company squad. Specifically, it is Peregrine Birdie Docks, leader of the Sword Squadron, who is protecting a shipment, which is the upcoming shipment. So if you want to use this as part of your plans, it's an upcoming shipment coming in from the west. So from the west outside the city, sort of a big, mostly abandoned highway. So that's coming in that way. This has been occurring for, probably the past week, let's say. So it's already been several supply shipments that have been interrupted by Tempestia or one of her officers/aides, one of whom we already know, Sevriel, and the other you have not interacted with so far. The last little bit that I'll say that you would have access to you already would be that the storm drain outputs that Tempestia or Sevriel or this third Avi have been seen at are in and around the sort of DFS siege line. So I'll just sort of mark on the map here. There's going to be one of them, big sort of sewer grate exit by this sort of weird wispy ghost mech on the map. One by this big shield mech, and then a third one that's like near the river or even like an offshoot into the river. You know how sometimes they'll have factories that just like dump shit into a river? It's a big, big pipe that does that, basically. So those are the 3 places they've seen them exiting from in order to fly out of the city to attack shipments on the way in. Any questions on any of that?
Yeah, run me through the guy that's running guard duty again.
Of course. So this is Birdie. The full name is Sergeant Peregrine Docks. The nickname is Birdie. It's Peregrine like the bird. It's Docks, D-O-X, he, him. Very sort of militaristic Chad type, I would say. Think of your stereotypical sort of Chad-looking guy. That's him. And he's leading Board Squadron. Sword Squadron or Board Squadron? They've written both, and I should have checked.
I think you originally said Sword Squadron, which makes
more
sense than
Sword
Squadron.
But now I don't know what's true, so I think it might be Board. I think you're right. I think it's probably Board Squadron. No, I'm gonna actually look. It is Board Squadron. I don't know why. Oh, paired to Sword Squadron. I understand everything now.
I had a question, and this might be a gather information question, but we know at least how big the Noontide Squall, and what was Sevriel's mech called, or his AVI called?
That was the Midnight. Again, I'm going to have to look at my notes. Was it Midnight Calm?
So we know how sort of large those were, right?
Yes, correct.
My thinking is that if we want to take some of our obbies into these, we need to at least
That's totally doable.
at least be their size or smaller.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
You know, that's a really good thought. Mine is probably not going to fit down there. It is a very agile plane, but a plane it remains nonetheless.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about this after the fact we did it, but that ape would have been really useful for this part. But we needed the parts more. It's fine.
It also would have, I think when we were discussing the potential of jumping into some of the many OVs we've been taking over this campaign, it was going to take like a long-term project or something to like get acquainted with them, right?
Right. Well, to get them, because they're all busted after you, like,
right, yeah.
did damage to them, so they would take a long-term project to get back up to working order. And to, like, take out all the tracking devices that are probably in them and things like that you probably don't want in the mix.
Fair. Okay.
I also have a question about we have 3 rules of engagement here.
Yeah. Do you want to read them out?
Sure. So the first rule of engagement is if Tempestia appears, you must engage.
Uh-huh.
The second one is do not harm the DFS troops protecting the upcoming supply shipment. And the third is do not attack any CalazCon armed cosplay groups in the Storm Drain complex. If they engage, you must flee.
Yep.
Now I had a question about that last one.
Yeah, sure. What's your question?
I'm sorry, the what?
What?
Oh, is this not something that you all are familiar with? I feel like at least Dorian must have heard of this.
Absolutely, Dorian's heard of this. They're just like, oh yeah, no, there's a major scene. You know how there's like always a repeated scene in some of the older shows, especially animated ones, where you recognize set pieces from them because they reuse same set pieces to save money. There's a lot of sewer fights in Calazar.
Yeah, it's true. There are a lot of sewer fights. And specifically, it looks like some ruins that tend to show up. Pestiel's Storm Drain complex is old, which means it has like a lot of levels to it. And there are CalazCon, like, basically LARPers, right? Dorian, you're definitely on like email blasts or email lists, right?
Mm-hmm.
For this ridiculous thing. And you've definitely gotten invites like, buy tickets to the Calaz LARP or whatever, right?
But they are armed.
Oh yeah, they're using they're using like real weapons.
Yeah, okay.
This is CalazCon, baby.
Yeah.
And they go down there and they do this for fun?
Who is this question to?
Dorian,
probably. I think Dorian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of us are interrogating Dorian.
How good is their cosplay?
They go down there with real guns and they spend all day actually shooting each other for fun.
Listen, fans ain't the smartest kind of people, but it's all about the immersion in the end. Curse can only take us so far.
True.
Every 5 scenes and sessions folks do, there's at least one person who gets injured. And then out of those 5, you take like 25 of those sessions. There's one who might expire.
Oh. Expire. Dorian, another question for you about these cosplay groups. Do you know? How do I phrase this? As someone who doesn't know anything about this, do you know what sort of time period these folks would be playing in? What I'm getting at is that we've seen people cosplay as Tempestia.
Totally.
In one of your email blasts, did someone say, "Hey, we're going to be Tempestia this week" or something?
That
is that
can
how
I
it
roll
works?
a fortune roll for that? Just to see.
That sounds fun. Just give me a 1d6, whatever the easiest way to give me a 1d6 is.
They might be Tempestia this week. So,
yeah.
I think Dorian just like pulls up a tablet and goes to like 3 separate emails. Because, of course, they have multiple emails for every event, just in case so they don't lose track of it for some reason. I don't know why they do this. But they're like, okay, so, that's fascinating. Actually, this last one might be related to Big Boss's most recent escapades, from our namesake. And there's a non-zero chance people are going to play as their favorite character, which was Tempestia.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. What's better than this?
I'm sorry. Are you telling me that we're going into this mission and walking into the middle of a Tempestia masquerade?
Not everyone's going to be Tempestia. There's just going to be maybe one or two lookalikes to the Noontide Squall.
Oh, this is going to be a logistics nightmare. I mean, we'd have to check every single one of them. What if one of them is actually the real one?
Hold on, Captain. You got to remember, these are cosplayers. Some of them don't really commit to the bit that well.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just a couple pieces of sheet metal that just happens to make it look like a bird.
And also, to be fair, the last time we thought we saw Tempestia, she wasn't even there. So, we're not super good at spying her anyway.
Antonia has left the room. While you all have been talking about this, she just left.
She
didn't
just leaves.
say bye.
All right.
Okay. So I think, we need to get off the boat. We need to get you off the meeting table.
Okay.
There's one more thing that I wanted to point out for all of you, which is that supplies are getting worse, right? Part of the reason why Tempestia has been able to, have such an impact on the supplies here is that there are fewer supplies coming into Hestial from outside of it. I think Antonia has not been particularly clear about what's happening, some issues off-world. You all as players know, and listeners, if you listen to the full last downtime round from all of the squads, you will also know what's up with that. But that's another sort of thing coloring what's happening here.
I will just say really quickly, I love this, entire group so much.
Yeah, the swings get wilder every single cycle.
It's
Who knows
true.
where we'll end up by the end. But, if they are putting such a dent into our supplies, might not be a bad secondary objective to haul off what we can if we can help it. Maybe don't burn down the entire FOB.
That's an interesting idea. As a reminder, speaking of secondary objectives, you do have 3. One is to kill Tempestia, of course. Normal, natural.
Classic.
Another one is to kill one of her remaining officers. I should have said kill or capture. I would give you the secondary objective for either. Tempestia has to die, though. No capturing Tempestia. And then number 3, ensure the upcoming DFS supply shipment is not destroyed. So that's this one that's being protected by Birdie and the Board Squadron.
So if I may offer a suggestion
Mm-hmm.
of sort of a broad plan overall.
Mm-hmm.
If we know where Tempestia and her aides are coming from, and we know what they're attacking, could we try to bait them
Not opposed to that, yeah.
out of their hidey holes to try to interrupt it? And some of us make sure that they don't actually steal anything, and then some of us go into the storm complex and blow up their FOB.
Sure, totally.
A thought has just occurred to me. Last mission we were on, we did just manage to capture an officer.
True.
From the tenor of our last conversation, I get the feeling that they are not going to give us any information. But did their AV have codes or radio frequencies or something that we could perhaps transmit bad information over?
Yeah, that sounds to me like a gather information.
Okay.
Now, I will say, before we start the gather information, because this mission has to do with the Storm Drain complex, I need to roll a die real quick. I will roll as DFS generic. There we go. That's the ideal person for me to roll as. And I'm just going to do a fortune roll with a single die. So that's a 5. So a 5 means that the storm drains have done their job, and their complex is dry enough for regular locomotion. That means that you'll take a +1d to social, transport, or assault plans. You will take a -1d to stealth, deception, and scientific approaches, because there's not stuff to block, the signs that you're coming, basically.
Oh, no, that's the opposite of what we want, probably.
Maybe.
It depends. I could see a situation in which we do a transport route and we just pick which one of these to go in.
There we go.
Yeah, I think part of my gather information is probably going to help out with like figuring out what would be a good strategy to use.
I guess there's also a potential argument for an assault plan since we are charging into a base and burning it down.
Mm-hmm.
But let's start with Laren. So Laren's going to go up to this Avi. What's your approach here to try to get information out of it?
Oh, that is a very good question, because no matter what it is, Laren is not the man for the job.
Well, could you be commanding somebody else, like a certain
Split
new cohort?
second, maybe?
Yeah,
there's a real solid idea. I think that would be a fantastic option.
Okay. So this is a command. This is just a fortune roll. So you can roll it as an action roll, but just with, like, say standard. And will it let you go below control for the action roll? I don't actually remember. No, best you can do is control. But you could run it as, like, controlled standard. Doesn't really matter here. Or you can just do it as a fortune roll. Up to you.
That, I guess, maybe depends. So I do have the Warlord ability. Would this count as an activity against the Tempestia squad? Because that would give me a
totally
effect.
Yeah, so you can do it with a controlled great.
Yeah, let's try it.
2d6.
Well, let's see here real quick. Is there anything I can do to bump this up?
Well, you could do all the regular stuff, but then that would make this a roll with real stakes. Right now it's just a fortune roll, right? So you can't fail it. I mean, 2d6 is pretty good, and it's a fortune roll. I really wouldn't worry too much here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There we go.
Nice.
There's the 6.
Not sure what I was worried about. There's the 6, yeah.
Yeah, you guys are only going to roll 6s, like always. Don't worry about it.
Oh, we don't do it always, but...
Okay, so you find Split Second, who, since you have hired them, is basically set up in your workshop that you have, right? And they've just completely reorganized the workshop to their needs. How do you get Split Second to do this? What do you say?
Split Second?
Yes,
I need you in the guts of another Avi.
Finally, I have been so bored.
I need you to be a little bit more delicate than usual. We're looking for something on the software side.
Software, I'll need my different thumbs for that. Better at pressing the keys.
They say, fishing around in a box.
All right. Well, you are the expert. I will trust your judgment on that. So this is kind of like the sort of thing we're looking for, and he'll just like, quickly run down the list of like all the, like all the different like codes and frequencies and, like whatever other communication methods that he thinks Tempestia Squad might be using in this universe.
Yeah, totally. So you got a 6 and you had improved effect. So you're going to get a lot of stuff here, right? So I'm just going to give you this as if you had it like acquired an asset for it. You all have tier 3 bug in Tempestia's comms. It's just like a 0 cost, 0 hold, thing that you all have for this mission. So you all can just hear their whole squad's comms for this mission.
Nice.
God.
Yeah. Well, those extra thumbs, they really help. The other thing you get is you're able to better pinpoint sort of where this base is. And you can basically see that the base is actually like underneath the river. You still don't have like the path there because again, it's a pretty winding, structure below ground, but you can basically get a sense based on where like you're seeing the like pings come from. It's sort of like where the H in this DHS siege line is. Like that's where it is under the water. Like deep, like not even just under the water, like underground under the water, right?
Okay. Well, my first thought was we can just open a hole and dump the river on it. So how deep is suddenly a very relevant question.
It's pretty damn deep. You all could do that.
Okay.
That is a legitimate way of trying to do this, but that would be like multiple projects, or not multiple project clocks, there's multiple clocks you'd have to fill to be able to do that. And also,
it wouldn't.
You would have to deal with the fact that there's like cosplay mechs on one side of the river and like the DFS siege mechs on the other side.
Okay, so it's going to be a little bit more complicated than just throwing some C4 on the ceiling of the base and cracking it open. Got it.
Probably. But that is. I see. I thought you were saying from above.
Yeah.
From below. If you're doing this from below, that's a lot easier, I would say.
That would be just collapsing it in as opposed to... Yeah.
Yes, that is a very good plan as long as you had explosives to, like, open it up, basically.
Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Topo and Azara bumping fists. Let's just blow it up.
All right, good start. Who's else got a thing?
I had an idea.
Mm-hmm.
I want to basically find where the CalazCon armed cosplay groups are.
Yeah.
I want to tag them so we can keep a tracker on where they go, so we can avoid them.
Okay. Yeah, sure. That makes sense.
Yeah.
How are you going to go about trying to do that?
I think it's straight up just wait until they're gathering up and, they're doing a check. And there's like a preliminary check before they go to these cosplay groups.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
And so while they're getting everything set up, Dorian's just going to look through all the different mechs and just...
So they're generally not in mechs. That's worth noting.
Oh.
Yeah. They're generally... Yeah, they're generally just individuals hanging out in a sewer and shooting each other.
Oh.
With like...
Oh, so if we're down there in mechs, we don't need to worry about them at all.
Gotcha.
Like getting hit.
You need to worry about them a little bit. So there are some of them in mechs, right? But like,
just not
mostly
right.
what they're doing is dressing up. Some of them are in mech cosplay, but most of them are dressing up in just like regular people outfits. Because while there is a path big enough for Tempestia and the gang to get through these tunnels, that's not most of the tunnels. Most of the tunnels are people-sized.
Right.
Okay. That makes sense.
Okay, that takes a lot of pressure off it. Right.
You could still do this plan, totally.
Oh, yeah.
So we want to tag the mechs.
Yeah. So instead, I think what it is just, everyone's decked out military gear. It's just like going around and helping people do like bag checks and such and being like, this explosive is right within bounds, tagged.
Oh, wait, hold
just,
on. You're doing the convention thing of like zip tying like weapons, like cosplay weapons?
Yeah, basically. They gotta... It's this way they don't get confused for the actual soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these zip ties and tags have just a little tracker beacon on it.
Okay, well, I think to have a tracker beacon, this is a really cool idea, but I think to have a tracker beacon, you're going to have to mark that, or somebody's going to have to mark that on their ship.
Yeah.
Do you have anything for that?
I got long-range transmitter.
That'll work. I'd give that to you.
Done.
Okay.
All right, so, yeah.
And then, you're going to have to roll. This is a roll with risk, right? Because if they catch you, that would be bad.
Seems fair.
Yeah, can I justify this as a prowl roll?
You could totally justify this as a prowl roll. You described it as a prowl roll, for sure.
All right, so risky.
Definitely
standard.
risky.
I have my spark, so this is fine. I can at least...
Okay.
Yeah. Listen, that spark can refill very quickly if I roll well like I was on Sunday.
Yeah, and you definitely won't ever roll badly again.
I was rolling with 2 dice. No, I was rolling with 2 dice, so still dual 5s.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that still works.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Cool. Okay, well, that's a 5. So there is a consequence here, and there's a risky consequence here. Did anybody go with Dorian?
Oh, wait, shit. You know what I should have asked for? A collateral die. For reasons.
Yeah, you probably should have, huh?
Yeah. Can I do one after the fact?
I don't think so. I want to get us to gather info as quickly as possible.
Gotcha.
Where in the city is this taking place?
So this has got to be taking place at the DFS siege line.
Okay. In that case, I would, if you're going to inflict a consequence, I would go, because that's something my gather information was going to be about, being near the siege line.
The north shore of the DFS siege line, the south shore of the DFS siege line, which is where this is taking place, sort of southeast here, where the orange mech and the blacker mech are on the map. That is the part that the CalazCon people have control of. Like, they literally have control of, like, massive siege weapons that are there.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is like taking place probably beneath a like massive rail gun that's like pointed at the DFS mechs on the other side of the map, on the other side of the river. And okay, so this is Azar and Dorian together, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. If it's you two, then I think what happens is that Dorian, you are spotted by none other than Empress Gold.
Fuck. Does anyone remember the name I gave Empress Gold last time?
The name?
Yeah, you gave
the fake name.
Oh yeah.
Oh right.
Sure don't.
I'm not gonna be a mean GM.
I feel like it was like Borean Dranch or something.
That sounds right.
That does sound right.
Yeah, so they spot you both, and they go, "Oh, hello, Borean. I see you're here with a friend."
Yeah, howdy, yeah, Empress, this is a good friend of mine, and Dorian's like kind of give you a head nod of just like quick introduce yourself, either give your actual name or not, I don't care.
You can just call me Z.
Yeah, this is my good friend Z.
A pleasure to meet you, Zed. Are you taking part in the LARPing today?
A little bit, yeah, I wanted to come check out some stuff, and then I wanted to volunteer my time a bit and just offered to basically do the weapon checks and the bag checks for everyone.
Oh, that's so kind of you. Thank you.
Yeah.
The consequence here is I'm starting a D6 clock. That's one of the two consequences, and then I'm ticking it once. You all can resist those two things individually. But it's just one tick of a D6 clock.
Do I want to resist? Do I get a bonus for resisting anything? No, that's not this character. Okay, yeah. What do you say?
Nah, I don't. I'm fine.
Is it just we get exposed? We get busted?
I'm not saying what that D6 clock is.
Okay, now that you say that out loud. Is it an insight resist, I'm guessing?
Yes, it would be an insight resist.
Alright, let me look at how many I get for that. 3. Thank you to that new point in engineering.
There's a 6. Phenomenal. So that resists it back down to just being 0 out of 6, but it's still on the board. As a reminder, Antonia did sort of allude to the fact that Empress Gold is the one who hired you all for this job.
Yeah, but she doesn't need to know what we do and how we do it. She just needs to know that we were hired.
Yeah, they don't need to know anything.
I think if this is Dorian, like, making sure that we're not being seen, I think I would still overhear Empress Gold, and I would be like, is that person okay? Why do they talk like that? Like, are they sick or something?
Empress is rich. That's the best way I can put it. That's like the only way I can put it, really.
All right, so Jake, Azara wanted to come along to do something else here, yeah?
Yeah, I think I would like to do a sweep of these 3 sort of entrances that we have in front of us.
Yep.
And see which one would be most ideal for us to sort of enter into the storm complex. And the way that I might frame this is, you said Birdie was here, right?
Correct. Well, no, Birdie is protecting a supply shipment that's coming in from the west. So to be clear, right, like, this map is not particularly good at representing this, but Hestiel just, like, sprawls. Hestiel has, like, no natural borders, right? And so Hestiel goes well outside of this range. But this is the sort of range at which, like, Tempestia's attacks have been taking place, like, on the map.
Okay.
So Birdie and that supply group, that supply shipment, are coming in from out west. They haven't yet gotten onto the map.
Sure. Okay.
It's when they got on the map, that's when they'll be in danger.
That's fine, because we have the locations of all of these storm drain exits, right?
Correct. The 3 they've used so far. That doesn't necessarily mean they don't have others, but that's the 3 that have been observed that they've come out of.
Okay. In which case, I think I would honestly just sort of like, as much as this is possible, given this is a siege line, is I would basically just like to spend like an afternoon strolling through and like getting precise details about each of these and like kind of come up with figure out which one would be the best one to use.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Also, real quick, sorry, Colt, for Dorian. Dorian succeeded on that roll, so you have that information. You have successfully tagged all the cosplay groups that are going to be in this region.
Woohoo!
And you know sort of where they are, and you'll be able to avoid them more effectively. Okay, so I think this is a prowl, because as you said, this is sort of like, not an active siege line, to be clear. Like, CalazCon is formally not, like, fighting the DFS. It's more like a big standoff, right? Like a massive scale standoff.
To a lesser degree, it's like, what if you just like took a stroll down the DMZ?
Yeah, exactly. If you stroll badly, so there is a risk here. This is going to be risky.
That's fair.
To start with, risky standard. If you stroll badly, right, you could start a war, right?
Oh, sure. That's fine.
Yeah, that's normal.
Like a collateral die.
Yeah, great collateral. If you fail. I am looking at my sheet here, and there is something called Intel, which is when you get to spend a personnel point to get +1D on a gather information roll.
Ooh, that's cool.
How do we feel about that? It doesn't take up a gear slot either, which is pretty useful.
Yeah. You all are max, right? You're at 4 material, 4 personnel, so you're in a pretty good spot right now.
So how do we feel about that? Just especially, I wasn't going to do that, and then Matthew said, you might start a war if you stroll the wrong way, so...
A risky consequence is not enough to start a war.
Yeah, sure. Fair enough.
To be clear.
Yeah, fair enough. But I also think this is like, again, this is sort of getting intel of like getting a better sense from like the DFS of what the siege line is.
Totally. Yep, that makes sense to me.
All right,
so I'm going to take a person off. What is this intel that Azar spent some money on, basically?
Maybe it's particularly congested parts of the siege line. Like maybe it's like checkpoints almost.
Oh, sure. So you know where to avoid or where to be careful.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. That makes sense. Cool, I like that.
Prowl. This is risky, you said?
Yep, risky standard. That was 1 die.
That was
I think
1
that should
die.
have been 3.
So let me roll 2 more here. Look at that.
Hey!
Phenomenal.
Got a 6.
As I said, y'all only roll 6s.
That's right.
So, that's a 6. So I'm going to give you good information, right? Above and beyond information on this funny little Stormdrake complex. So as I mentioned, there's these 3 entryways here. All of them are fairly close to where you now know the base is located, but this one that's right in the middle of these 3, is for sure the closest to the base. As I said, you all have this sort of like, you have a bug, basically. You can like listen in on their chatter, and like that starts activating you're close enough. So like this one in the middle is for sure going to be the closest shot. It's not a direct shot still. Like there's still sewer pipes to go through, but they're big, which is how their like large, tier 3 big old mechs can like get through these pipes. Okay.
Cool.
The one on the left here, not in the middle, but the left one, this shows the most clear evidence of like recent use. Like somebody was here and was clearing stuff away, which makes clear to you that, like, this is the one they're probably planning to launch out of next.
Okay.
Which makes sense because you've already been told that Birdie is coming in from the west. So that's going to give them their closest area of attack. This last one shows signs of being the most infrequently used. Like, this might have been used a few days ago, but since then, like, some cosplayers have been through... Somebody lobbed an actual grenade, and so there's like a big, like, gash in it, right? Like, maybe part of it is collapsed. And this tells you that they're, like, not monitoring this one probably at all. So, to be clear, the options are left, the one that they are coming out of, right? So if you, for example, had a plan about stopping them before they got out, that would be the way to go. The middle one is for sure the closest, but it is not the least monitored. That's the right one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I would bring all this information back to the squad. Also, just a little bit of color. Azara is wearing the sunglasses that Red.
Oh, the aviators? I was going to ask.
Nice. Yeah, the aviators.
Phenomenal.
Nice.
I think if you ask them, like, hey, why are you wearing those aviators? They'd be like, oh, to look inconspicuous and to blend in. But it's not true.
No, Azar's so much cooler now. He got the +2 cool points by wearing this. All right. We haven't gotten a gather and throw from Topo yet. Do you have anything for Topo, Mark?
Yeah, I don't think I do. I think,
Okay.
Yeah, I think we've got a lot of good stuff already. I can't think of anything else.
That's fine. And you can always flash back later.
Yeah.
Does anybody feel like they have anything else they wanted to explore? Or do people feel pretty good about figuring out an approach?
Pretty good.
So, as a reminder, you all are going to get a +1 to assault, transport, or the third one that I forgot, social. You're going to get a -1 to stealth, deception, and scientific mission approaches.
All right, that. Well, depending on what approach we ultimately arrive at in our next 10 minutes of planning, is it possible, to slide back to this prep step and use a cohort to maybe block a few parts of the sewer that just how did that happen? And maybe reverse those bonuses.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I would let you roll now to do that. I mean, that's I think going to be probably not just risky, but dangerous. Because you're talking about, like, exploding massive infrastructure on this cohort, potentially.
Okay.
But yes, I would let you do it in a single roll.
In that case, there are two discussions to be had here. For one, I should actually introduce my brand new fire team.
Yeah, please.
So Laren, as a captain, has picked up a very special piece of gear available to the class. He has a brand new fire team of skulks that are simply known as the delivery team.
Phenomenal.
Nice.
They are loyal both to Laren and to the squad, but however, their flaw is that they are principled, and the principle is that they will not engage in open combat. They don't have any real moral boundaries. They are more than happy to poison your lunch, but they are just not equipped or trained for getting into an actual gunfight.
Totally.
Is planting these explosives and then potentially getting caught going to go against that?
No.
Is the first discussion. Okay. And then the second discussion is, are we actually going with a stealth plan that this would benefit?
I mean, I had two thoughts, and one was say, fuck it to the roll and just go stealth anyways. Or deception, alternatively. Because I don't think this takes away from deception, does it?
It does.
Oh, it does? Damn.
Yeah.
Not to say we're ignoring the third role of engagement, but we could use our connection with the early birds and say, oh yeah, no, we're bringing supplies into the storm drain and just have permission to, like, go through there. And, our role is to set up the area. This one right here on the far left, that was the one that was most recently used by cosplayers and therefore least likely to be watched, right?
The
It's the right.
Oh, the
rightmost
rightmost
one.
Yeah, the leftmost one is the one that Tempestia is going to be rolling right through.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you use the right one to basically be like, hey, we're going in. We have to do, like, a structural integrity check. Once you see a green smoke, you can come in. And basically use that social connection to just walk right in.
I will also point out one of our secondary objectives is to make sure that the DFS supply shipment isn't destroyed. So part of how we're doing this I think we should alert, I guess, I don't know. The question is, I guess, could we alert Birdie and the board squadron, like, hey, Tempestia is probably coming out of this one?
You totally could.
Yeah.
You can totally relay that. I will say that will not guarantee their protection, right?
No.
I kind of pitched this way back at the start, but if we went with a deception type plan, now that we are in Tempestia's comms, do we want to pass along the information that maybe the shipment is arriving 2 hours earlier than it's actually going to?
Ooh, that's pretty good.
I like that.
Yeah, it's like a combo deception of sneaking into the storm complex, pretending to be, Cole, what did you say? Structural integrity testing?
Just, integrity inspectors, just trying to make sure everything's up to code before we blow it up.
Yeah, I mean, if we're doing that for our entry for the mission itself, And there are a whole bunch of random collapses in the storm complex that would lend a lot of credibility to our job.
Mhm.
It's
Or
true.
fake job. Undercover job. Whatever.
Undercover boss. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're all undercover bosses here.
Okay. So real quick, a couple things. One, I will say you can totally warn Birdie and them about Tempestia maybe rolling in on them, but that won't save them if she does attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Two, you can totally use your fact that you know the radio frequency that they listen on to like attempt to pass along a fake message about trying to say that the supply shipment is going to be early, but just somebody on that frequency saying, hey, the supply shipment's going to be early is not going to convince anybody, right? That would be like an obvious lie. Like that would just tell them somebody had hacked into their comms.
Yep.
Mhm.
You'd have to pretend to like be a supply person who was for some reason broadcasting on that frequency, right? Like they're not stupid. It's important that I
Right.
play them as competent.
The other alternative is to just, and I'm going to say this, and I don't necessarily think it's what we should do, but I'm just saying it out loud. What if we just let Tempestia attack them so that they're out of their base?
Sure, that you could sacrifice Birdie. I hear that there's a legislator that would be very unhappy about that, but you could totally do it in order to accomplish your goals.
Listen, our job, we aren't protectors, we're assassins. We're a redacted, like, wet work squad.
Mm-hmm.
And our rule of engagement is to not harm them directly, basically.
Sure,
Do
true,
not attack
yeah.
them, Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So as long as we're not attacking them, it's
I
fine.
mean, at
Well,
the very least, if redirection isn't possible, Laren can't get his mech down there anyway. He could post up with Birdie and try and just keep him alive long enough for you guys to get the job done.
Mhm.
Yep.
Well,
That's true.
yeah.
another thought then is, should you stay out there as well and just, like, post up in the Hummingbird?
Yeah, I think that would be the thought,
Yeah.
is to have the Hummingbird patrolling the skies and helping Birdie out.
Yeah. Oh, I thought we had another person who was going to hang out with you. We have an infiltrator and a scout. Where do I go? I get shot at. That's what I do.
Awesome question, yeah.
Yeah, this is Azara's whole thing. I'm ready to go. Hacker Man coming to town.
One thing I'm realizing, just like looking at our stat sheets real quick, none of us have wreck. Topo has bombard.
Yeah, that's not.
That's for a long distance.
Yeah.
Do any of us have destroy?
Nope, not me.
Damn. All right, we just got an engineering explosive. It's fine.
Yeah.
Could the delivery team be valid bomb setupers during the actual mission?
Is this just an escort mission? We just escort the delivery
Escort the
team in to
It's
blow
a
it up?
transport.
Two separate escorts at once.
Yeah.
So what I'll say is they totally could. They cannot fit into either Topo or Azara's
No.
mech.
Yeah.
That's true.
And so they would just be like little people in these potentially flooded sewers.
Well, I could make a case for other things besides engineer. I think, or besides Rex. I think.
There's totally.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
I think so too.
You all will have options for destroying this mix, is what I will say. Don't focus too much on that.
Yeah.
Plus, I have a point in engineer. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna start trying to push us towards a plan.
Yeah.
We've got some good discussion.
Let's get in there.
I think that the big question in terms of what's happening here. Here, let me try to synthesize first and see if anybody disagrees with where things are at. So it seems to me right now that you all are planning on basically a deception plan, where the idea is that you're going to use Birdie as bait, protected by Laren and the Hummingbird, and the Hummingbird, I should say. It's a whole crew in there, to try to, like, get that secondary objective, keep Birdie and that squad alive, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, the other 2 or 3 of you, depending on where Dorian goes, are going to sneak in this sort of rightmost, this northeasternmost entryway that they haven't really been using, and try to get to their base, find their way through the tunnels, get to their base, and upon getting there, plan on basically blowing up whatever the ceiling of their base is, to, like, let the river into it.
Yeah.
Is that all correct?
Yeah. Seems good with me.
That sounds accurate, yeah.
And I think the big question is, where's Dorian?
I will say, I think, like, because I don't have a mobility suite, I don't think being out the supply ship helps out a lot, but also I'm in your run-of-the-mill balisong.
Right.
I'm going to leave it up to the rest of the squad to tell Dorian where to go, because they can't think of any ideas where they would be useful outside of not being in the mech, being in the Avi.
Right. So I will say that if you are with Laren, you two can help each other.
Mm.
Whereas if Laren is alone with the hummingbird, right, like, things could get bad for Laren.
Yeah.
I can 1v1 her. Let's go.
Yeah.
Come on, let me solo her.
We found him, ladies and gentlemen.
But also the idea of Dorian being like, no, I want to go into the sewers in my mech, my Avi that is not well suited for sewer traversal is very good.
I'm starting to realize I should have taken a little bit of my downtime to refit my Avi.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, I didn't know we were doing a sewer mission next.
Hey, who knew?
Actually, no, wait, I do have a mobility suite. Never mind, I'm fine. Put me out with Laren.
Okay, all right. So,
go.
then we're going to do a split mission, which is interesting.
Nice.
I haven't done one of these before. Where we're going to have Laren and Dorian out protecting Birdie. Assumably, you're going to use the hummingbird to, like, fly to meet him, basically, out further. And then you two are going to basically be the bait. And you're going to have Topo and Azara basically wait for you all to engage and then enter these sewers. Is that right?
I think that's the plan, yeah. Which entrance are you guys using?
Probably the rightmost one, right?
Yeah, I think this northeast one makes sense. It's the safest.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
well, in that case,
yeah.
I sense that we're about to do our engagement roll,
mhm.
but would I be able to sneak that squad in to see if we can mess with the water levels here real quick?
I'd be happy for you to roll it.
Okay. So this is going to be... Cohorts are a thing I am not super familiar with rules-wise. How many dice am I getting from this? It's based on our whole...
Your tier.
Right?
You're right, yeah. So you are at tier 2.
Mm-hmm.
So because you're at tier 2, you get 2 die when using your cohort. As I said, this is defo dangerous because there's a possibility that they collapse the sewer onto themselves. Which would be bad.
Okay.
But you have standard effect, and as I said, this is like one roll. If this roll succeeds, they've done it. You've shifted the conditions around, and you'll get a +1 on the stealth.
Okay. Am I able to push for fire teams?
Of course, yeah, you can totally push. You just have to tell me how does Laren push himself for the delivery squad, right?
What if he goes in person?
Ooh.
He
like
goes
that.
in person and like actually directly oversees it.
Oh my god.
I love it. Starting strong. Okay. Mark 2 stress. What I'll say is this is just a regular roll. So you all are welcome to help, or you can ask for a collateral die, right? Lots of options here.
We're up to 3 dice. I've already pushed, and this is just to get a +1 on another roll. So we probably shouldn't dump all our resources into it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I only got like 6 stress left, so I kind of need it.
All right. Give me a 3d6.
Oh my god. Okay.
Oh no.
Oh, that's a 2.
It took a while to load because my laptop is just chugging along. But then I heard like all 3 beeps at once, like beep, beep, beep. That's the sound of the proximity alarm that your crew did not pay enough attention to.
No.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna split this into 3 smaller consequences rather than it being one big one. Right?
Okay.
So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to give I'm going to harm your fire team. And what happens here is they do successfully blow a tunnel, right? But what they didn't account for, and because this is a fire team of skulks, not of engineers, right?
Mm-hmm.
What they didn't account for was how good this drainage system is. So you blow one tunnel to like start trying to collect the rainwater, the sewage water to rise the water level in here. And what happens is just another drain starts draining it.
Mm.
Huh.
But the chaos of this explosion and the sudden inrush of water, and the fact that the water goes a different direction than you thought it was going to go, because you were like, oh, okay, it's gonna all like pool here. Nope. Turns out it started draining a completely different direction, which led this like weird flow of water going the other way than you thought it was gonna go, right? All of that to say, they get harmed, right? Nobody's dead from this. But they take a 1 harm week reduced effect, right? Then there's another part of this because Laren, you're there too. And so you're going to take a level 1 harm. And that level 1 harm is just buffeted because you're just buffeted by like bits of cement and sewage and it's just gross and you're bruised, right? And then the last thing that I'm doing here is I'm going to start, but not tick at all, a D4 clock, 4-step clock. All 3 of these things can be resisted individually.
I would like to resist the harm to the fire team.
Were you there?
Specifically. No, I think it's just like on the way out. It's just like Dorian going up to the fire team squad lead and going, hey, just don't forget when you blow one end, the water's got to come out from another end. It's going to probably hit you really hard.
Wait, hold on.
Just
Is this something about, like, Dorian's, like, farming background or something? That's, like...
Yeah, you gotta clear out the drainage ditches for the irrigation to work properly, and sometimes when you do that, you knock over the cattle.
Okay. All right.
I could also assist here because I used to be an industrial farmer.
Yeah, and we haven't really seen that.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think I would hear Dorian say that, but like, okay, Dorian, that's not quite how it works.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, actually.
I love the idea of Azara well-actualing Dorian. That's great.
Yeah.
As Dorian is attempting to actually the cohort.
I'm happy to have Topo resist. This is an insight resist.
Yeah, I could do that.
Sorry, not Topo. What am I saying? That was Azara who was just speaking. Azara resists this. This is an insight resist. My bad. Sorry, Topo.
I'll do that.
No worries.
And so that would be 2.
That'd be 2.
Roll only 6s. No stress.
Oh my god.
So the cohort is fine. Laren, did you want to resist the harm to yourself or the starting clock?
I want to resist the clock.
Okay.
I think.
So I'll just be completely honest. This clock is Tempestia's squad being alerted that you're coming.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm going to say I'm going to make a pitch for resolve.
Okay.
And that the reason why this clock is being resisted is that, like in the wake of this explosion that scatters, the entire fire team, Laren is kind of the first on his feet and like through, mostly through Memo's quick leadership, he manages to like get everybody out in like 2 minutes flat before anybody can actually come and investigate.
Sure. I just want to be clear why I'm giving you that clock but not the other one is because you did get this bug, right? So you would know on the comms that like suddenly there's an unfamiliar voice saying, we just detected something in this sector. Somebody go take a look.
What was that
Exactly.
noise? Whose footsteps are these?
And I really like the idea of Laren. There's this interesting thing happening here where you're resisting with resolve, which means that this is about Laren as an individual and what he is physically capable of, right? But then your pitch there about why this works is all about Mem being there. And so there's this interesting double thing happening here where the thing that does it, the thing that's going to mean this doesn't happen is Laren. But even Laren mechanically thinks that, even though mechanically it's Laren, right? Laren thinks it's Mem.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, give you a 3d6 resolve resist.
I do like that. Yeah. Okay.
There's another 6.
Thank God. We didn't screw it up 2 times.
No, y'all did great. Okay, so does that mean you're going to take the -1?
Yes.
For building up this roll? Okay. Sorry, was there any other last minute things people wanted to say before I build this engagement roll?
All good.
Let's go.
So, engagement roll. Start with 1d. Is the mission bold? It sure is. You're going to use half of you as bait, and the other half of you is going to go blow up your greatest rival's, base. Some literally, right? Is the mission complex? No, I don't think so. Does the tactic exploit vulnerabilities? Yes, I think so, right? They don't know you're coming. You made sure of that.
Yeah.
So that's 3 die. Is the tactic ineffective against the target? No. So you're at 3 die. Does the squad have external support? I will give you...
Kind of more the supporters.
Yeah. External support. I think all the support you've brought up is internal to the squad.
I don't know. Would Birdie count as support for giving us fire support?
Yeah, you're
making
using
sure
him as a
that
bait?
Laren and
Yeah.
Dorian don't immediately die.
I'll give you a +1 for using Birdie as a bait. Sure, yeah. That's 4. And then, is anyone interfering with the mission? Yes, of course they are. You all have 2 rivals that you're targeting here. That takes you back down to 3, and then you lose an additional die because of the -1 to stealth.
Oh, okay, right, yeah, because it didn't work. Got it.
Because it didn't work, yeah, I'm sorry.
Right.
What I will say is I told you that this is the... Because, is there any other things that would give +1 or -1s is sort of the thing off the sheet considered here. I did tell you this is the place that they look the most infrequently, so I will give you a +1. I'll give you an extra +1 for that. So I'll let you be at 3. I feel like this is probably Laren in the Hummingbird calling and telling when Topo and Azara to start, right? So I feel like this should be Laren's 3d6 to roll, just as a fortune roll.
Oh boy.
You got this.
No pressure.
Yeah, 0 pressure.
I'll take it.
No, that works.
That's a 4. That's a risky.
It's not 3 1s again.
It is not 3 1s again. We definitely take those. Okay, so this is going to be in a risky position to start with. I should have made everybody mark pilot gear. What pilot gear are you at, basically? Figure that out.
I don't need to be sneaky. I'm going heavy.
That's what we like
I
to
think I'm
hear.
doing the same.
Yeah, medium.
Yeah, I'll go medium.
Yeah, Sneaky Squad should at least go medium, I would say.
I do like the image of, even if I have medium, I think Azara has it's fucking strapped with.
Oh, for sure.
I'm imagining those like a safari vest with just a ton of pockets.
Uh-huh.
Sylvester Stallone, but he's not in he's in the urban Rambo movies where he has everything decked out on him.
I'm equally amused imagining Laren in his giant airplane sitting on, the main deck, safe in the middle of this ship that can hold 20 people, swaddled in SWAT
strapped.
gear.
You have to look the part.
I think we could also generalize that a little bit to say that, okay, actually what's happening here is that, Laren, has all this stuff around him, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're prepped. You don't need to be wearing it, I would say. Maybe you got some bags. Maybe you got, some stuff you've stuck into the back of the chair.
It is an incredible image, though.
It is. I mean, it's totally up to you.
That is very funny.
I'm just saying that I, as the GM, I'm not going to be like, well, you didn't describe yourself as holding that, so...
Ooh.
This is when Matthew takes a turn to be just the absolute shittiest DM imaginable.
Yep. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I think that what we should do is we should start with Laren and Dorian's squad here, and then we'll sort of pop over to the other squad as they get the signal, right? So the two of you fly out. Is Our Lady of Means just docked in the Hummingbird? Because we know that's a possible thing, right?
Yeah, I think so, especially since the mobility suite's still attached to it.
Right.
Our Lady of Means can still float down to the Earth if needed.
Right.
Float down to the planet, I should say.
Okay.
Yeah, and Laren give a quick pep talk before things go low.
Oh, sure, yeah.
To
that
Dorian specifically, since they are partnered up at the moment. I think I imagine it this is 2 minutes before things go down, right?
Uh-huh.
Dorian is already in the mech, just kind of chilling and hanging from it. It's the moment going up the roller coaster where you're just kind of sitting there suspended waiting. And he just hears in his ear, Laren, Dorian, remember, this is a defensive battle. Above anything else, keep yourself alive, okay?
Cap, you don't gotta worry about me. I know how to get out of a couple sticky situations at least. We're gonna be fine. Once they hear that the FOB is blown up, they'll turn tail and start running off.
Just don't go trying Any crazy heroics out there, all right? Keep yourself in one piece.
Cole wants to say, I promise nothing, but Dorian will just sit there patiently and just say, all right, I'll do what I can.
All right. Do your final checks. Get ready for a drop.
So you all fly out of town, going west, and you get to this sort of long stretch of like largely abandoned, previously bombed out highway. And it's there that you see these 3 like heavily armored supply vehicles, each of them twice the size easily, maybe 3 times the size of your mechs. And sort of walking in and around them are the aforementioned Sergeant Birdie and a group of toughs, DFS toughs, the Board Squadron. I think that he sees you all coming, right? Assumably you let him know that you were coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. So he sees you coming, and he's like, Hummingbird, is that you? Over.
We're in the skies. We've got you covered.
Glad to hear it. We're guessing that it's not too long until we see somebody unpleasant.
We'll give you a heads up soon as we see anything. Then Laren is going to start obsessively listening to that comms to hear when they start crackling alive.
So, the reason why this situation ends up being risky is because you hear over the comms, first of all, you hear Tempestia's voice, as she says, Tempestia and the Noontide Squall, mark, launch. And then minutes later, roaring across the sky is the Noontide Squall. But the reason why it is so risky, you saw that coming. You knew that was always a possibility here. But the reason that this is so risky is because Tempestia is not alone. Clutched in the talons of the Noontide Squall, mark at least 2, right? Because you already killed one of these, is a second mech. And the second mech, upon getting close enough, is sort of dropped from the talons in a parallel to how the Hummingbird drops the other mechs. And there's a massive beetle-like mech, like Hercules beetle, massive armored mech, that slams into the highway, blocking your path as the Noontide Squall flies off into the air once again. What do? Also, you should have control of your mechs. Feel free to position yourselves however you want.
I don't know. I feel like we're mirror matching this. I think Laren is doing the exact same thing and dropping Dorian right onto that beetle.
Phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. And I want to emphasize, I want to be right on top of that beetle with my Beam Saber already out.
Okay, yeah, hell yeah, let's go. Yeah, this feels a bit like a Pokemon battle in a way that I didn't think it was going to. Dorian,
Mon, go!
Dorian, I choose you! Dorian, use Beam Saber!
Dorian!
Jesus Christ. Okay, so this mech, right? I think that Mem in your display, Laren, Mem is saying like, okay, I'm detecting this thing, this auto ref, this thing that they that was in the Screech Owl and the other mechs here inside that beetle mech as well, right? So that has that too. It is the same scale though as Our Lady of Means. They're both medium-sized mechs, and so it all evens out thanks to your various abilities in terms of giving you +1s and stuff. And I think that because you just launched Our Lady of Means, doesn't it get an additional +1?
It does.
Okay.
Let me reread it real quick. Yeah, provides increased effect for the first vehicle action taken by those launched from it.
Nice.
Phenomenal. And this vehicle action, to me at least, correct me if I'm wrong, Cole, but this sounded like a battle.
Yeah, just to make sure, this beetle mech, is it like on all fours like a beetle?
Correct, yes.
Perfect. So if I were to, say, crash into it and flip it on its back, would it turtle?
It might. You could give it a shot.
I would love to do that.
Well, okay.
Dorian yelling, I'm gonna turtle him!
To me, that sounds like a manipulate less than a battle.
I still have a 1-die manipulate.
Okay. But notably, you don't get the increased effect from your new good weapons that you have.
Actually, yeah, no, shit. That's more important right now.
Okay.
Because this is the only weapon I got right now. I really, really should have reset everything. Oh, well. I'm going to, I'll roll battle with increased effect.
And an extra die. So this will be 2. You're in risky great. You can hear, of course, a collateral die.
Yes, I would love one. What is it?
Oh, you might have heard of this one before. You're going to get a call from your moms.
Hey, you know what long-term project I completed recently?
I've heard about this. This Dorian bot, this autoresponder, this voicemail that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to take that. I'm going to put that point in. Let's put in expertise. I want to pick up another point in battle in the future.
Okay.
Yeah, so I should be rolling 3d6, correct?
Correct. What does it look like? Is this like as you're descending, as like the air is whipping by you, you see the little like light flash on that your moms are calling?
Yeah, basically. I think it's just like as soon as Dorian says Our Lady means launching, and that's when the call kicks up.
Uh-huh.
But Laren has already fired Dorian out of the ship.
Our Lady of Means low shit.
Oh, no.
And just like immediately pulls up the PDA and goes, auto respond. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. All right, let's see how long that can be kept up. Give me this roll.
Yeah, 3d6 coming up.
Risky great.
There's a 6.
Phenomenal. What does this look like?
I think it's literally dropping down. Like you can see the soldiers from the board squad all aiming their guns at the beetle, and the beetle starts rearing back, and then Dorian just drops down on it with a basically comes in with like a flying lariat, but the end of the lariat is the beam saber and like nicks off the horn on the top.
Sick. Okay, cool. Immediately ignore that.
Dear.
I hit the wrong button. Ignore that. I meant to hit the token button, which will cause a token to appear. This is a good clock. This is a clock that you want filled. This is a D8. And you have already filled it by 3 with this phenomenal. Oh, no, it was great, right? Great and a 6. So you're actually going to get better than that. You're going to get 5? 5 of this? No, that's
I think 5's on a crit, yeah.
5's on a crit.
I think it's a 4.
It'd be three ticks.
Okay. We'll give you 3 ticks on this 8. Pretty good.
Oh, can Dorian open up the shit talk channel?
Of course.
God, 2 calls at once.
Just line 2 opens up and Dorian just says, "Sorry, y'all need to have a toll pass to get through here."
There's a woman's voice on the other side, or at least a femme voice, right, on the other side. Older, so a little bit scratchy. And she just says, "Boy, I've been doing this since you were in diapers. Don't need to tell me nothing."
Well, I'm sorry to say you're a bit too late for the early bird special. May I offer you the senior discount?
Oh, wow. You just hear a click. Okay. Laren in the Hummingbird, you just dropped off Our Lady of Means. You are assumably cycling back around. What are you doing? What's the target?
What's Tempestia up to right now?
She's circling around. The Noontide Squall is sort of eyeing you up in the sky. And she's trying to position the supplies between you and her. So she's trying to, like, go up and around. Grab this. So she's, like, swinging around down this way. She's trying to, like, target the supplies pretty clearly.
Okay. In that case, that gives me the thought that maybe, instead of directly diving into her, the Hummingbird could maybe attempt a maneuver. And basically, be like a football lineman and just, regularly be in the way. And like any line that the Noontide Squall tries to, like, line up on the caravan, the Hummingbird is very quickly in the way to intercept.
Totally. Yeah, I think that totally works. That definitely sounds like a maneuver to me. And I will say, because you're not trying to target Tempestia herself, she doesn't get her bizarro, like, you start at no effect thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to start here with standard effect. This would just be a risky standard to start.
Would Warlord matter here for getting improved effect against her squad? Okay, so would that take me to great?
So that's going to be correct. Risky great maneuver.
Okay. Let's see. I have 2 dice to start with. I do not want to push my vessel. Because then I won't have enough quirks left to resist if something bad happens.
Fair.
What options are there for collateral dice?
For you specifically? Tempest is going to open up a channel.
Oh, let's
no.
do it.
All right. Give me a 3d6 risky great.
That is a 4. That semi works out.
Phenomenal. I think this works exactly as you imagined it, actually. So she comes in from sort of like coming in from the northwest, and you block her off. She swings back around to try to come in from the south. You block her off, right? This happens like 3 or 4 times. How does the hummingbird move? Does the hummingbird move like a jet? Or does the hummingbird move more like a helicopter? Do you know what I mean?
It's a VTOL vessel, so it's kind of capable of doing both. But
Right.
I think right now it is moving more like a helicopter, where it is,
Sure.
it's just sweeping around on a 45-degree axis, just going like purely horizontal.
And you get a call on open channels. When Laren picks up, is Laren picking up so like
Yes.
everybody on board the hummingbird can hear?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, is there another way he could pick up?
You tell me. Do you have an earpiece?
You know what? How about the first line is on public, and then depending on what gets said, he might switch it to a private line.
Yeah. The first line is, Red, is that you?
Oh no.
Sorry to disappoint you, but no.
But you're with him, I assume.
I think Laren, like, just like I have, Laren freezes for a second and realizes, shit. he has slipped up and divulged information.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I think Laren realizes that he has got himself in a very poor situation. He's just going to cut the line. If he can.
You can cut the line, but there's one thing that you hear before you do. And it's this. Whoever you are, you're on the wrong side. And what you take is the level 2 harm off balance. You can resist this.
I would like to resist that, yeah.
Yeah. Though you still have a level 1 harm.
I do, yes.
Which means if you resist it only once, you will have 2 level 1 harms and have less effect.
All right.
Better
than having a
that's
level
what I'd like
2.
to hear.
I was going to say, could I protect the captain by, like, cutting in with some comm chatter of the first hit went successful, keeping on the attack, just trying to, like, take away his focus from what Tempestia said?
That's interesting. So protect usually means that you take the harm instead of someone, right?
Yeah.
So that would mean that you would take a level 2 harm of some sort, which I'm interested in, but I don't know how we could get there. I could buy that Laren could be distracted by what Dorian said there, but I'm not sure how Dorian ends up harmed. Like, is this just a physical harm instead? Like, are you distracted for a moment and this weird mech gets a hit?
I mean, is it just the stress of the fact that he has 3 different conversations going on right now on top of trying to fight somebody?
Distracted.
Yeah. How do you feel about that, Cole?
I like the idea of it. Quick question. Am I resisting with my quirks or am I resisting with my stress?
I would let you resist with stress for this, given the nature of it.
Thank you. What kind of resist would you say this is?
This is all about doing multiple things at once, right? This is about being able to figure out where your attention needs to be when. I would say that this is probably a prowess resist.
Okay.
This is about nothing, you're able to do everything at such a high level. The fact that you're having to, like, ignore things for a few seconds in between means that you can still, like, function.
Gotcha. All right.
Okay.
1 stress.
Do you want to resist it a second time down to nothing?
I'm down to roll the dice on that.
Okay.
I like resisting.
Yeah, give me another resist. Let's see how it goes.
2 more.
Okay. What's the camera see?
As soon as Tempestia says you're on the wrong side, Dorian's comm cuts in and says, Captain, I think we got a good first hit here. Can you help bring down the noontime squall for me while I finish off this fucking butt? And that's when Dorian gets immediately tackled and then flipped onto their back. You're, like, rolling backward and catching because, like, the battle tank's supposed to be more humanoid.
Right, totally.
You get that nice, cool, like, pushback dust up, carving into the road.
Sick. Okay. Yeah, successfully done. First trading of blows works. The signal goes out. Tempestia and one of her remaining officers have been engaged, and we head into the sewers. It's dark. It's dark in here in those dang sewers.
Huh.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm using the Roll20 Fog of War option for the first time to actually represent what's going on here.
I get to do the classic Dungeons and Dragons thing, which is I actually have night vision goggles.
No matter how good your night vision goggles are,
Sure.
you cannot see around.
They can't see around corners.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. They don't tell you about night vision goggles is their inability to tell you to get around corners. So
This is nonsense.
Yeah, it's a shame. You're in the top right corner of the map, which you're probably not looking at right now. So, as you hopefully can see, you're at a place where the drain goes in, right? So it's draining in from this section. It's big enough, obviously, for your mechs to get through, like, easily. In fact, a mech one size larger, a large mech would be able to get through these sections, no problem as well. But there are two sort of paths, right? This is sort of a top-down view, is the way I'd think about it. So, as I said, this entry you're going through is the northeasternmost entry. The one that you want to get to is southwest of you, but unfortunately the paths go both south and west from here.
Mm-hmm.
Dorian, did you give your little sensor for where the LARPers are?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So in that case, I think what you know is that there is a group of LARPers in the tunnels to the west of here. What do y'all do?
Head south, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to get in contact with those folks lest we have to talk about cosplay. Let's go south.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good. So we're not going to do this like a dungeon crawl. We are not playing D&D. What this is a roll. That was an actual choice, right? That different things are different ways, but we're going to do a roll to see what actually happens here. So I think this is going to be a group roll. I think this is going to be a group maneuver, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Seems fair.
Who's leading this group maneuver?
I can lead it if we're doing a hunt. How do you feel about that?
So it's in your vehicles.
It's going to maneuver.
So it can't be a hunt.
Oh, yeah. It's a scan, I guess.
Oh, you could do a scan instead.
Ooh, good call.
Yeah.
I have 2 in scan. I can do that.
Oh, you
Yeah.
want to do that? Yeah, get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so is this Azara or is this Topo leading the scan?
Let's have Azara do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
I'm imagining like real life tunnels and sort of I'm basically like scanning, the side of the side of the tunnel and basically like, AR projecting like how far down this can go, maybe shooting. I'm going to say some nonsense science stuff, but like, I don't know, shooting off like echolocation or something to see how far down it goes.
Totally. I think that makes a lot of sense. Both of you give me a scan. This is going to be risky standard. And you both have 2, I believe. So 2 dice.
Right, and I just the way this works is that I get the consequences of any failed rolls, but we take the group.
So you'll both get the consequences if there's if the best result has a consequence associated with it, but you'll take stress for the number of failures, 1 for 1.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I only have 1 die. So.
Oh, sorry. Then just 1 for Topo. They're scanning.
Yeah, and that's a 6.
Phenomenal. So that's already no consequence.
That's also a 6.
Holy shit. I don't think y'all have the advance that would let you track multiple 6s as
count that as a crit.
But what I will say is that not only are you fully avoiding the LARPers here, right? You will find the path with no problem. What I will say happens here, and what's going to happen is you're going to have to go deeper, like submerged, like go underwater for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So you can sort of follow the sewer this way down here. That's where you know that you need to go. And you see there where it's sort of like glowing. That's actually just like water going down a level in the sewer system.
Oh.
And so you're going to have to go down. And I think that this scan, because you both got 6s as well, I think you both pick up that there's some sort of like sensor that's like embedded in the pipe as you go down. So it's going to be able to detect when something big, like you all, for example, passes through it. Unless you do something about it ahead of time. Which maybe you're fine with, right? Like maybe you all just tell me that you're just going to go for it, and then I'll be like, well, okay, I'm gonna do some alert stuff.
Do we get the impression that's a sensor that's like part of the sewage system, or a sensor that was like set up?
No. The fact that you have this bug and that you know about their radio frequencies because of a really good roll from Split Second, you know that this is like a Tempestia aligned.
Okay.
Ooh, can you describe this a little bit? Is it say mechanical or electronic?
100% it is.
Oh, cool. Okay, I have something called a fine security cracker,
Ooh.
which is a well-made toolkit used for disabling mechanical and electronic locks.
Nice.
Well, now, hold on a second. It's almost as if Azara has some sort of experience.
Weird, huh?
Yeah, strange. Like, something you
Yeah.
might have done once for Jacob's Junkers or something.
Look. I think I would see that, and I would say to Topo, like, hey, make sure I have to pop out of the mech for a second here to this is going to require a little bit more deft hands than I can do in the AV. So
Cool.
make sure nobody sneaks up on us or anything.
Yep, will do.
I will say, for Topo specifically, as they're monitoring, you do detect, like, the sounds of that group of LARPers, and you can also see it on your little, like, pinging sensor array or whatever. They're coming closer to this area.
Cool.
Just to show the barrel of the gun there.
Come over here and keep an eye out for him.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, what's this role look like?
I asked, leadingly, is this mechanical or electronic? But I now actually think, I'm actually asking specifically, is it more mechanic? Is this more of like a mechanical situation, or is this more of like a piece of software?
So it's both. It is a big, bigger than you, right? Because it's meant for mechs. It's like disc shape, but a little bit thicker, right? Like, imagine a mechanical bagel, a really big, like a meter tall, 6 feet tall mechanical bagel that's like been embedded into the wall here. And you can see that internally it's got like a series of like LEDs and a number of other sort of like sensor things that are just pointing out, scanning into the middle of this drainage pipe.
Okay.
So it has mechanical bits that you could just like blow up, but it also assumably there's some software going on there where it's trying to differentiate between like what is worth sending back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. Oh, man. Okay. My original thought was like, I'm just going to disarm it. But then that second piece of like, what if I could make it think that we're allies?
Ooh, that's interesting.
But I think also reflecting of the fact that I have 1 point in engineer and none in interface, I think if I'm being true to how Azara would address this situation, I think Azara likes to come at challenges sort of more head on.
Yep.
So I do think I am gonna just tinker with it.
Cool. So with Like a Fox, you're like getting in close, then popping the hatch and like using this tool. What's this tool look like?
I'm sort of imagining, you know how when chefs carry around knives, they like roll it up in a little thing, and I'm imagining that, and I'm like rolling it out. It's a bunch of little screwdrivers and lock picking things and things like that.
Sick. So this is going to be an engineer, and this is going to be risky great.
No, I think that's I'll get to my consequences if they come up.
But you don't want a collateral die?
Oh, well, what's the collateral die?
Oh, for you? A collateral die for you? No. What I'm going to say is that the group of LARPers is going to arrive on the scene.
Okay. I like messy drama. I'll take that.
That's what I like to hear.
I will also push myself.
Okay.
Just taking 2 stress here.
So that's getting you up to 3 die?
I think so.
All right.
Yep, 1 from collateral, 1 from my engineer, 1 from pushing myself.
Okay. Risky great.
All right.
3 die. So that's 5. So, you do it. You disable this thing. It is fully disabled. I'm not taking that away from you. But in the disabling, you realize, like, literally as you're doing it, right? Like, you're familiar with this kind of thing, right? Not the specific model, but this kind of sensor you know about.
Right.
And you can tell that as you disarmed it, it sent some signal.
Haha, okay.
That's the consequence here. And so that earlier, did y'all make me get rid of that 4-step clock? Yeah, you did. Okay, so in that case, I'm starting a new 4-step clock and ticking it once. You can try to tell me how you stop the signal or send some other signal or something. You can try to resist this, but it is at 1 out of 4 right now.
Okay. I have a move called Shadow. You may spend your spark to resist a consequence from detection or security measures.
Nice.
Well, there we go. Fully resisted. Spend your spark. What does that look like for Azara?
Maybe it's just like, because I'm trying to think of what the sort of signal is.
Right.
Is it like an electronic signal?
It's like a radio signal. It's like
it's like a radio signal.
Yeah, it's like hardwired in that. Like when it shuts off, like when the power stops going, the last thing it does is like send this radio signal. It's like a fob.
Okay.
Mm.
Maybe then this is like in this security cracker toolkit, there's also like a radio jammer.
Oh,
like
sure.
Like a thing that I can input that just like makes it white noise.
Yeah, sure. I love that. Well done.
And just like I can like see the like in the anime of this, like it cuts to like a blinking light going off, and I just like jam it into one of the sockets.
So that all happens, and Topo in Homer, you see coming down the way a whole bunch of people like decked out in like cosplay soldier gear. This is like a group of probably at least 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
5 of them are in this sort of like cosplay soldier gear, and you can tell that it's cosplay soldier gear because it looks roughed up, but it looks like intentionally roughed up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's one person in this crew who is not dressed like the others, who is in fact leading them through this sewer. Hey, what's that mercenary you worked with like?
Big guy, bushy beard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
First of all, for the mercenary, do you have a name for him?
Barrett.
Barrett. Okay, cool. There's a lot of bee names in Topo's life. Have you realized this? Something about bees. Maybe when they retire, they can keep bees. That'd be nice. Okay, so would Barrett recognize Homer? That's the question.
I don't think he would recognize Homer, no.
Okay. So in that case, he does the thing of like holding up a fist to get people to stop, and the 5 chuckleheads behind him like don't realize it first and like walk into him and each other, and it's this big pile up, and there's a whole bunch of like cursing and shouting and stuff, and then finally they actually realize what's happening, and they all like go quiet, and they like push themselves up against the edges of the sewer tunnel, like they're somehow gonna stop being seen by you. Leaving Barrett as like the only person who is like actually exposed.
Mm-hmm.
And Barrett says, "Hey, this is a registered LARP group. Who are you with? Are you another LARP group, or are you with one of the 2 factions?"
I'm with I'm with sewer repair.
With sewer repair? What?
We've got a bad gas leak down here.
A gas
Hey,
leak?
Topo, we're good to go. Whenever you're ready, Topo, we're ready to go. Over the comms, not knowing this is happening.
All right. Well, we weren't told about a gas leak.
Neither was I. I just showed up.
Wait, you're the repair person, but you're told to show up for wait, and you just discovered a gas leak? What's happening here?
No, they discovered the gas leak. They sent me down. I just got here. I haven't put on any safety cones or anything.
This is a roll. You are going to need to roll.
Yeah, this is not something I'm good at, so let's do this.
Topo must recognize Barrett instantly, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, we spent some good times together.
Do we see any recognition from Topo here?
Yeah, and I think this, like, the line of bullshit we're giving here is almost, like, in fun. Like, definitely trying to, like, pass it off, but also just, like, oh, man. Like, if he notices this is, like, this might be something that we've pulled on someone else before.
Oh, sure. Okay.
That's really good.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, the great news about Topo is that Topo has literally 0 resolve skills.
Yep, none at all. So yeah, let's take a what you call your devil's bargain here.
A collateral die? Yeah.
Collateral die, yeah.
What your goal here is basically to like avoid a confrontation, right?
Yeah, just like keep them from coming down this way.
Right. But
and really, where are they going anyway?
Yeah. But your goal isn't necessarily to like stop Barrett from recognizing that it's you.
No. If he recognizes me, that's totally cool.
Okay, so then I think that the collateral die is that Barrett will in fact recognize it's you, but like
awesome.
Depending on the role, won't like reveal that to the others. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, cool.
Like recognizes your voice.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just roll with one die and see what happens.
Do you want some help?
Yeah, how would you like to help?
I think I'm hearing this over the comms, right? Like I can hear you giving this line of nonsense.
Yeah, in fact, you hear it out. It's probably a speaker on the outside of the mech.
Right. Because I'm down sort of ostensibly where you're saying the gas leak is. I think I would put my hand over my face. I'm not going to do it because this is an audio medium, but I imagine Azara's putting his hand over his mouth as if he's wearing a gas mask and says, "Don't come down here."
Nice.
They're right. It's so poisonous. Oh my god.
I've been the company has sacrificed me.
I died for CalazCon.
Cool. What's our position?
You're risky. So risky standard 2d6.
No, I have 2 beliefs with Topo, so I give them 2 bonuses.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Okay.
So you could use one of those to go to controlled, for example, or to push to risky great.
You know what? I think I'm just going to take the dice.
Okay. And make sure that you took 2 more stress there for Azara.
Oh, yeah.
That's a 5.
Okay. First of all, I have a suggestion for... Oh, is this going to load? Oh, there he is. Wow, he's massive.
Yeah.
He's huge.
That big man.
Does that work for Barrett?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool.
That was Topo's other friend.
Yeah, why can all your friends supersize?
This friend wasn't experimented on. Different phase of Topo's life.
This guy's from the outside.
Yeah. Okay, so then I think what happens here is Barrett fully buys this. Barrett is fully on board. What caused you two to split up? Like, you were working with him as a mercenary for a while. What caused you to split?
What caused us to split?
Basically, was it amicable or not, is the question.
Yeah, I think it was amicable. I think I just got a better offer. Like, this is a relatively steady gig instead of having to take on clients.
Right.
And yeah, like he was probably supportive of it. Like, yeah, if I can get a gig like that, I'd take it too.
Yeah, totally. And I think he has gotten a gig like that. So
yeah, look at that.
So I think that he's generally like Topo, a pretty like expressionless person, like a pretty neutral person, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because of that, I think Topo learned to like read his face really well. And, he like tilts his head back in such a way that is him like, it's the equivalent of like a wry smile.
Right.
Like his face is still totally stone cold, but like he knows that it's you, and he knows this is a bit, and he's gonna play into the bit, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, sorry, fellas, I'm gonna have you all turn around. And the consequence here is one of these little shits is like, excuse me.
Oh, God.
We were supposed to meet up with the 2nd LARP squad further down to recreate the Battle of Laracax.
Jesus Christ.
We're gonna need to call this in.
And the consequence is they're gonna radio in that like there's a team down here and on just like a general channel, and Tempestia's like fob is gonna pick that up.
Thanks for listening to CalazCon. This episode was edited and sound balanced by Christine Blight. You can reach her for voice acting at cvblight@gmail.com. The show's music is by Devin Nelson. You can find them on all social media at Devin Decibel. If you'd like to support CalazCon, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/CalazCon. Please tell your friends about the show too. Remember, all glory to Calazar.